Putting together a strategic plan can be daunting, even for the most skilled business planners. For almost every business plan, we can start off by asking three simple questions. Where we are, where would we like to be, and how are we going to get there? To better understand the concept of strategic business planning, we've put together a simple ABCDE model to realizing strategic goals within your business unit. The first component within our strategic planning model is the A phase, the assessment phase, the phase that tells us exactly where we are. When doing an assessment prior to beginning your strategic plan, one has to ask fundamental questions related to the pending plan. Like, where are we currently in terms of looking at an environmental scan, looking at background information related to the strategic plan, taking into consideration a current situational analysis, and finally doing a SWOT analysis prior to beginning this venture. To dissect the ABCDE model to strategic planning, I'm going to use some personal and business examples to try and elicit exactly what each component means. When starting with an assessment, it is fundamentally important to do an environmental scan. An environmental scan will tell us exactly what is contained in the environment around us to realize the strategic plan or to fundamentally make it a success. Let's say the plan is starting a new business venture. Let's call the new business opening a family restaurant in your community. An environmental scan will elicit how many other restaurants are there within your area. For instance, if there are 500 other restaurants within your vicinity in a 5-kilometer radius offering similar products and services that you intend on offering, then I would say that this environmental scan has told you that it could possibly be a high-risk venture. The high-risk nature of the venture, based on the environmental scan, would have told you that you'd be competing against 500 other restaurants offering similar products, thus making it more difficult to realize profit. Now let's say, for instance, there were only 3 other restaurants in a 5-kilometer radius offering similar products as yours. Chances are you've got a better shot at gaining a piece of the pie into that market. When doing an environmental scan of any project, it's fundamentally important to look around you and try and elicit exactly what are those impending disasters or pitfalls that could stand in your way of realizing the goals and objectives of your pending plan. Doing a background information check related to your pending strategic plan is also fundamentally important. By gathering background information in terms of opposition pricing structures, proximity, service delivery, and other relevant components, one can then elicit whether you will position yourself in a slightly different way and offer a unique selling proposition to your customers. Still sticking with the assessment phase of our strategic plan, one has to look at doing an in-depth situational analysis. When doing a situational analysis, one has to consider many different factors. For instance, how much money do I have to support the new business venture? Do I have the capacity in order to support the new business venture to make it a success? And finally, do I have the necessary resources in order to realize my dream of starting that new business? The 4th stage of the assessment planning phase is a SWOT analysis, my personal favorite. One could do a personal SWOT analysis as well as a business SWOT analysis. When doing a self-SWOT, one can then elicit what are my strengths, what are my limitations or weaknesses, what are the opportunities that I have related to the business that I'm going into, and finally, what are those threats around me? Are there other people who have similar ideas? That would constitute a threat. A business SWOT analysis, quite similar to an environmental scan and background information, would be understanding what are my strengths related to the business that I'm opening, what are the strengths of the business itself. Does it have a unique selling proposition? Is the business going to be offering something that nobody else in the region offers? as well as how is my business going to be long-term sustainable. A weakness would be what are those possible pitfalls that could arise as a result of opening this business. An opportunity could be the possible revenue that we could make as a result of opening this business. Another opportunity could be possible job creation from opening this family restaurant. And finally, a threat would be all the opposition restaurants within that radius who could affect the revenue or the potential profits of your business. The second key component when looking at our strategic planning model is the baseline segment. Within the baseline segment, one has to take an in-depth look at the situation, past, present, and future, so as to elicit exactly what has happened, what needs to happen in the now, and what needs to happen in the future so that we can make this business a success. Significant issues that sit under the baseline segment of the model would constitute all related issues surrounding the success of the strategic plan. In the case of the hospitality segment, we would then consider other hotels within the region or perhaps other restaurants offering a similar product. In the third phase of the strategic planning model, we look at the baseline number 3, which is aligning and fitting with capabilities. That would simply mean taking the right people from the right positions and placing them strategically into your business unit so that you can get the optimal success. And in baseline, we look at gaps. Any possible gaps that one could identify that possibly could hinder this plan. So far, we've looked at where we are exactly by assessing our business environment, by assessing exactly who we need to place into what position, looking at the past, the present, the future, identifying gaps, and also doing a SWOT analysis. Now, the most pivotal stage of our strategic plan, setting goals and objectives, that really would be the base of whether your plan would work or not. In the component segment of our strategic planning model, we must look at a mission or a vision for our project. A mission, developing one, could be quite daunting in the beginning, but as you think about what is it that you really want to deliver to the community, to your customer, or to your family in a personal capacity, developing a mission can become slightly easier. For instance, your vision or mission statement could be to make people's dreams come true. That would speak directly to what your consumer market is looking for, an opportunity to indeed realize their dreams. In this stage, the component stage, one also has to look at guiding principles and values that steer your business into success. By assessing guiding principles and values, we align exactly what the personal value and guiding principles are versus the business principles and guiding values. A very important component when looking at the C section is setting goals and objectives. Let's say in a personal capacity, the goal is to get fit. So the major goal is to get fit, and the objective is how will I get there. Goal is what, objective is how to. Even at this fundamental stage, it's important to be realistic about how I'm going to realize my goals and objectives. If it makes more financial sense taking a jog every day to become fit, then I'd much rather do that as opposed to joining an expensive gym, which could affect the bottom line and profits. We've now come to the fourth component of our strategic planning model, the D phase. The D simply means getting down to specifics. In the D phase, we're fundamentally looking at how to performance measure. In this phase within the business unit, we've got to put together targets for our people, we've got to put together scorecards to evaluate and to assess exactly how they're performing within the strategic planning segment. As is the case for a hotel, now's the right time within this D phase to take all of your goals and to allocate them to the relevant people. We can call this action planning. And finally, we get to the E component of the strategic planning model. The E stands for evaluate. Now that we've gone through an assessment, a baseline, components where we put together goals and objectives, and we've got down to specifics where we allocated tasks and put action plans together, the E phase is a fundamental component towards the whole plan. Within this evaluation stage, it's a perfect opportunity for you to performance manage, to sit down with team members and do regular scorecards, to also assess whether past projects have worked, and also to fix any problems that may have arisen from the strategic plan before. In the evaluation stage, communication can also be filtered upstream so that the stakeholders are aware of exactly what we've done within the project. Who knew that strategic planning could be as easy as ABC? Good luck with your strategic planning projects, and remember to do an assessment, take an in-depth look within the baseline, do components and set your goals and objectives, get down to specifics and allocate specific action plans, and finally evaluate the entire project. Thank you.